Hey everybody, it's Steve with another episode of Keep 'em Rolling, and this is the 2024 Show of Shows finds. I did pick up some fun things that I'm excited to share with all of you. I kind of decided to wait on this video, not because I didn't want to do it, but because so much has come out on the Show of Shows over the last week or so that I thought, you know, just let it go, let things settle a bit, and then release mine, and it gives all of you something else to watch now. So I'm not going to recap the show. Suffice to say that I really enjoyed it. As always, I will be back. For all of you who've never gone, I encourage you to put this on your bucket list and attempt to make it to the show. It will really change the way you look at military collecting. So that's all I have to say, except I want to take a moment to thank all the new subscribers to my channel. I want to thank all the people who have stuck with me on this collecting adventure as always. It's fun to have you along for this crazy ride that we call military collecting. And you know, I'm planning on putting out a lot more content for all of you. In fact, right now, besides this video, I do have a second one that is queued up and ready to go. So once this one is released, a couple days, another one on a really kind of interesting pickup that required some love and attention. And then I have a couple other things that are kind of in the wings. So be looking for all that, but enough said. On that note, let's get right to the recent pickups. So everybody, day one of the Show of Shows was actually the day before the show kicked off. And as I said in the intro, I had the whole day to tour around Louisville. And one of the places I went was the Melwood Antique Mall, which they said is supposedly the biggest antique mall in the state. And I believe it. It is massive. I'll put a picture in right here. And while touring through the Melwood Antique Mall, I came across a couple really nice military items, starting with this World War II officer shirt. Just a standard shirt in great shape, $15. And anytime I find a shirt like this under $20, I'll pick it up, including enlisted men's, because you never know when you're going to need a shirt like this for a display. And this shirt is actually going to be used in a display. I have a torso that I bought that came dressed with a uniform shirt and tie. I didn't like the fact that it was a khaki shirt underneath, so I was looking for a kind of this OD dark elastic colored type of shirt to put under it. And then when I went to undress the torso, I discovered that the previous collector had done this to the shirt. They didn't like apparently how it fit under the uniform, so they simply cut it down. Yeah, that is a mess. So this shirt will actually replace this train wreck right here. Now the shirt was missing a button. It was actually this button right here. And this is a tip I want to give to all of you, because if you're out antiquing, flea marketing, military show, and you come across a World War II sewing kit, pick it up as a tool for maintaining your collection. This is the one that I use. You can see it's got the scissors, the needles, it's got thread, buttons. I've used this kit on several occasions to fix tears in uniforms and to put buttons that are missing, whoops, back on a uniform. And this button was actually inside this kit. So I'm able to restore this shirt. And then what I'm going to do with this train wreck right here, I'm actually going to cut the buttons that are on it off, and they will go into my sewing kit to be used later if needed. So that's the tip of the day, is if you see a sewing kit like that, pick it up and add it to your collection. You never know when you're going to need it. Now, behind this, you can see this massive piece of bunting. This bunting's 4 foot by 6 foot. It's cotton. It's World War II era. It's got the manufacturer on the top. It's got grommets to hang it. $20 for this piece of bunting. And this type of stuff, if you see it, grab it. If it's, you know, within that $20 range, etc., because it makes great table coverings for displays. Some people like to use flags. I don't, because that can be viewed as negative. So having a piece of bunting like this on a table, it really dresses up the table. It can be used as a backdrop. So yeah, that came home with me. And then I found some smalls, starting with this pistol belt. Just a standard World War II pistol belt in really good shape. It's got some corrosion on the grommets. It's got the nice brass hardware. It's dated 1942. A little bit of staining and such. Just a solid belt, and at $5, yeah, I picked that up. And then Beneath here we have some smalls. We start with these right here. They're campaign buttons for Wendell Willkie. And some of you might be wondering, gee, why did you buy campaign buttons? How does that relate to World War II? Well, look up Wendell Willkie. Wendell Willkie was the Republican candidate for president in 1940, running against Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he lost, obviously. But I always wondered what would have happened if Wendell Willkie had won. How would World War II have been different? So it's kind of that speculative type of thing. And at $5 each, yep, I thought they were pretty cool. So they also went into the pile, as did these two enameled in-service pins here. Each star represents a loved one that this person knew. So a father, brother, daughter, sister, etc. And the more stars, the harder they are to find. So to see a 2-star, these aren't terribly hard to find. 3 stars, that starts to get up there. This one's regular metal, this one's sterling silver, $15 and $10. Yep, they're gonna go in my Sweetheart in-service pin collection, which I'll do a video on sometime in the future. And then to finish off this antique shop stop, I found this really nice PX shaving kit. It's leather on the outside. You open it up, it's got that kind of nice OD green on the inside. And what I really liked about it was the fact it's complete with the mirror, the razor blade box with razor blades, and the sharpener. What you would do is you'd slide the razor blade into a slit on the side of this and then do this on a leather strop to sharpen the razor blade. So it was nice to find it complete, and at $5, yeah, it came home with me. So this ends day 1 of the Show of Shows. Now, day 2 was my first official day at the Show of Shows. It was Thursday. I got there at about 11 o'clock, so about an hour before they opened the show, and I spent from noon until 5-ish going through the show, and I came home with only 2 items. You know, some of you might be like, geez, why only 2 items? Well, I was overwhelmed with the show, but beyond that, I ran into a kind of an unusual problem that every so often you do run into, and that is that everything I was finding that I wanted to add to my collection was either beyond what I wanted to pay for it, or there was a problem with it. And, you know, and that's okay. You know, going to these shows isn't about how much bulk you can bring home. Going to these shows is about finding those unique items to help highlight your collection. Hello, Oliver. We have a visitor. Hello, my friend. I don't think you've been in any of the videos. Oliver is our other cat. He usually doesn't come out for these things. So, hey, bud. Yep. Thanks for coming out. So, what did I pick up? Well, starting out, I picked up this Sweetheart pillow sham, and I don't collect these, but this one was so cool, I just couldn't pass it up. First of all, you can see it's U.S. Coast Guard. And U.S. Coast Guard stuff is not easy to find, plus it's kind of near and dear to my heart because growing up in Michigan, the Coast Guard are the people who patrol the Great Lakes, and we have numerous Coast Guard festivals. In fact, there's one about 30 minutes from my house. So, you know, the Coast Guard's always been a big part of my life growing up. But look at everything else going on with this. We have an eagle, very patriotic, holding a in-service star there. We have the Coast Guard emblem. We have this great Statue of Liberty. We have this patriotic star shield with the poem, the U.S. flag. I love the color of this. It's so bright and vibrant. And then the pattern. I mean, they went all out when they used this kind of upholstery material on this. Now, to show you how big the Show of Shows actually is, and I've done that in other videos, I actually walked by this and didn't even see it there. I went down a row, and then when I came back up that row, I just happened to be looking over, and this was hanging off the front of a table. So, you know, you have to look down, up, under the tables, around I mean, there's so much stuff to look at. So, cost of this was $10, which was very fair for a really cool coasty piece to come into the collection. And then sticking with that kind of navy theme, the second piece I picked up, Oliver, my goodness. The second piece I picked up was this navy all-weather hat. It's in that rubberized material. And I've been looking for one of these to add to my collection for quite some time. So this was one of those things on my list, if you will. So it was nice to check that off. Well, my goodness. Welcome. This one is in great shape. This rubberized material, you have to be careful because over the years, For some reason, some of these will become so stiff, they're almost crunchy. This one is very pliable. And then what's nice is it's got the original, there it is, the original chin strap. It's got a great interior with the corduroy neck nape there. And then it's got a beautiful tag, very crispy, and it's dated April 1942. So a very early hat and just an iconic piece of Navy foul weather headgear. So Oliver, my goodness, what is going on with you today? I know, my goodness. So, well, 2 items. The cost of this was $30, so 10 and 30. So for day one, I spent a whopping $40. But that also illustrates something really important, and that is, for those of you who think going to the show of shows requires you to bring thousands of dollars in your pocket, yeah, I mean, it does help if you're looking to buy some huge item, but there's a lot of fantastic little things that you can add to your collection for under $50, as you can see here. Not the cat, though. Thus ends day 2. All right, day 3 of the show of shows. Well, actually day 2 at the show of shows, which was on Friday. I got there at 8 o'clock, so about an hour before they opened the doors, and was in the show by 9 and spent till about 3:30 shopping. And I picked up some really fantastic and fun things. And it just goes to show you that not all good stuff is bought on that first day, okay? There's good stuff. You'll find good stuff literally all the way to the very end on Saturday. So to start with, I found this campaign hat. It's World War I enlisted man infantry with the blue hat cord there. This cap has everything that you want to see, from the stitching around the brim, the correct hat cord, to it's an early model with the shoelace chin strap. And the cost of this was $85, and I picked this up because I'm trying to complete my World War I collection. And one of the few things missing from the collection was a campaign hat with hat cord. I have a nice example, it just doesn't have the hat cord, and it's almost impossible to find these hat cords out in the wild. So I was really delighted to get this, and a funny side story to this is the people I bought it from, they gave me a clear plastic bag to carry it around in, which I was very appreciative for them doing that. And as I carried it around, I had one person stop me and want to see the hat, and I showed it to them, and they were like, oh man, I haven't been looking for one of those today, and I really would love to find one. Did they have any more? No, good luck, etc. And then the next person who stopped me actually offered me more money than I paid for it to buy it from me. They really wanted it, and you know, I politely turned them down just because, you know, I've been looking for a while myself, and I wanted to bring this home and, you know, kind of round out my World War I display. Now, at the same table I found the hat, I found these combat suspenders. They had a crate, apparently, that they'd picked up at one time. They were down to about their last dozen or so pair, and they were asking, oh geez, I think $50 a pair. These things are so mint, I couldn't believe it. And I don't think I can use these. You know, I was thinking, you know, it's always nice to have a pair of combat suspenders to put on a belt or what have you, but I don't think I want to do that just because of how fantastically clean these suspenders are. I mean, look at these buckles. They are, where's some of the bright work here? Let's see if we can, I mean, everything on them is just so absolutely just minty. Let's try and find the, there's the stamp. Look at the stamp on this thing. 1942, but just crispy. So I don't think I want to use these just because, you know, if you start clipping and unclipping them onto belts, you're going to start marring up the clips. I just don't want to do that. So, but what a fantastic find. And the story behind this, when I was looking at them, a gentleman came up behind me. He was waiting patiently for me to finish. I told him, you know, dig on in. There's plenty to go around. He did, and he thanked me because he said he'd been looking for a pair, and he had just happened to look over and see me holding up a set, and that got his attention. He came over, he bought a set, and we talked about field gear for a while. And that's the one thing I want to share with all of you. If you are a field gear collector, specifically U.S. field gear collector, think about your needs, your wants, etc., and make them happen sooner than later. I've noticed this trend with field gear where it is getting more and more expensive every show I go to. And I think I alluded to that in my show of shows video where I talked about, you know, I just could not find a musette bag that was in decent shape for under $150. And I'm starting to see combat suspenders going for $60, $70, $80 a pair. I'm starting to see canteens going for $70, $80 for a canteen set. So if you're looking to complete out your field gear, do it sooner rather than later. Now, at another table, this is really nothing exciting, but I saw a nice GI World War II handkerchief. I like to add these to the collection when I can. Person said $5 for the handkerchief. I'm like, sounds great. Went to pick it up, and he goes, actually, it includes the socks as well. So I got the handkerchief and this pair of socks, which I think they're Army dress socks, maybe for an officer. Don't know, but, you know, I'm not going to turn it down. Got both of those for the $5, and it shows you how many fun little things are at the show as well. Now, this brings me to my last two items, and these are my two favorite items. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to do them from my second favorite to my first. So my second favorite is this picture right here. I absolutely adore this picture. And it's just everything that it's got going for it. You've got two African-American soldiers, both infantry. You can tell by their collar discs and then the fact that this gentleman is wearing his overseas cap with the blue piping. I love the fact that you've got them in their Class A uniforms. You can tell this gentleman's a corporal. I mean, just beautiful. Nothing wrong with it at all. And then the frame itself is so patriotic. It's a combination of wood and plaster, but I mean, look at the detail. And usually these things are banged up, they're dinged up, they're in, you know, pieces are missing. This one is just in stellar shape. Now, I will tell you that when I bought it, it was very clean, but I did bring it home and I spent about 2 hours taking the thing completely apart. And, you know, I cleaned the glass, I cleaned the woodwork. You know, we're talking Q-tip, we're talking furniture wax and stuff to bring back the shine and the glory of this beautiful, beautiful picture. The only unfortunate thing is we do not know who the two gentlemen are. We do know it came from the Detroit area of Detroit, Michigan, but we just don't know who they are, which I was kind of hoping to find a name inside the frame, but didn't happen. Now, a funny story on this is that I had seen this on Thursday, and it had a big piece of blue painter's tape across the front that said sold. And I thought, okay, doggone it, that's really cool, but somebody had bought it because just didn't want to carry it around with them, so they put the sold sticker on it. And when I went back over at this guy's table, I was looking at some other things, and I commented about the picture frame, because it was, man, I've really lost my train of thought, sorry. Rewind. Had the sold sticker on it. I didn't buy it Thursday. On Friday, I was walking by the guy's table. I saw it didn't have the big blue sold sticker on it. I said to him, you know, oh, did someone back out on the sale? Or, you know, and he goes, oh, you're not going to believe it. He said he sold something else. The person didn't want to carry it with them, so he put the sold tape on it, and then the person came back and picked up the item and just stuck it on this picture. And he goes, I had several people that bought African-American related items from him throughout, you know, Thursday and Friday morning. And he goes, I was wondering why the picture wasn't selling. And then when I got up to look around my booth, I saw the tape on it. So he said, I took the tape off, and I guess it was good for me because I was able to buy it. He had $125 on it, and I picked it up for $100. It's a lot for a picture, but I think with everything this has going for it, it's worth it, and it ranks as my second favorite, which brings me to my first favorite item of the show, and it's this enlisted man's visor cap. This also has a funny story in that I saw it Thursday. I looked at it, I liked it. The price was a little more than I was comfortable paying, but the gentleman said he'd deal with me. Said I would think about it. When I came back, it was gone. Well, I actually came back to the wrong table. And I even put this in my phone in the notes section. So I just eyeballed it, didn't see it, figured I'd lost out on it. And to be fair, I had already watched as stuff was just flying off tables. I had two instances where I'd looked at an item, set it down, the person behind me said, are you gonna buy it? I said no, and they picked it up and bought it. It was that type of show. It was just crazy. So when I didn't see the hat, I figured, oh, yeah, you snooze, you lose. Well, on Friday, while I was going around the show, I started in the opposite end of the hall than I did on Thursday. And about 1 o'clock, was going down the row, and I saw the hat. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding. I actually went to the wrong table. and I was glad it was still there. So we came to a deal. He originally said 200. He sold it to me for 150, and I know some of you might be going, 150 for a enlisted man's service cap? Why? You know, I mean, I know they're getting expensive, but that's ridiculous. Well, let me show you why. When I first noticed it, the construction really struck me as odd. And then the color, you know, on the camera here, it does look like your standard OD, but let me throw an OD overseas cap up against it here. Look at the difference. This cap is almost brown in color, and it's not a fading, it's not any damage, that's through the whole cap. And that's what caught my attention. But when you pick it up here and we look at the front, it's just, the chin strap's just a little bit different. The US emblem is a little different. The visor is just a little bit different. And then when we turn it over, check that out. It's quilted with this kind of unusual under visor. And this means one of two things, ladies and gentlemen. It means this cap was either made in England or this cap was made in like India for this US enlisted service person. And I love foreign-made items like this. They don't come around that often. For every, you know, 300, 400, 500 US-made service caps, you might find one foreign-made cap. So I knew this had to come home, and the price I paid for it was well worth it. Absolutely my favorite item of the show. So these are the finds. You know, it's not a truckload, but as I've said before, it's not about how much you bring home. It's about the cool items and the quality and how they fit into your collection. So thanks for watching, everybody. Thus ends another year of the Show of Shows. I can't believe we have to wait another year now. I don't know if I can make it. So on that note, here's wishing all of you, you know, good collecting endeavors. And this is Steve reminding all of you, Steve and I guess Oliver. Hello. Steve and Oliver reminding all of you to, well, keep them rolling.